When the rescue team heard about a dog tied up and neglected at a remote farm, they rushed over, their hearts heavy with worrying. Could it be true? Had Bike been abandoned? They couldn't believe it. It was him. Bike, the dog they thought had found a loving home. The truth broke their hearts. Hiding under a rusty machine, Bike trembled. His once white fur was dirty and tangled. He curled up tightly, trying to disappear. A wound on his leg was clearly visible, and his eyes were filled with fear. The happy dog they knew was gone. Bike, it's okay, we're here now. Rescuer said gently, hoping he'd remember them. But Bike pulled back, cowering and baring his teeth. Can you imagine seeing a dog who once loved you now filled with fear? They stayed close, speaking softly to calm him. Slowly, they reached out to coax him out. At first, he stayed nervous and scared, his eyes full of suspicion. But the fear was too strong, and he hid under the machine again. What had happened to make him lose all trust? No matter what they tried, he wouldn't come out. He bared his teeth, refusing to trust anyone. Finally, they pulled him out gently. His fur was dirty, and he looked frightened and confused. He snarled, his body tense with fear. This wasn't the life they had dreamed for him. They thought they had given him a second chance. But now, he was only a shadow of the dog he used to be. Determined, they looked for his owner. They shouted for a while, looking for someone. Finally, a man appeared, looking annoyed. Look at Bike, too scared to even face him. When asked how he could let Bike suffer like this, the man shrugged. He's fine under the machine, he said casually. Fine. The rescuers were stunned. Bike was not fine. He was terrified, hurt, and betrayed. They tried to explain how much harm he had caused. But the man only repeated, he's my dog. Mind your own business. The rescuers shared a look. They couldn't leave Bike here. Ignoring his protests, they carried Bike away. At the shelter, they finally removed the heavy leash. It had been hurting him all along. Imagine carrying that weight for so long. They fed him by hand, trying to earn his trust. But their hearts ached with guilt and sadness. How could they have trusted someone so cruel? After checking Bike's injuries, they rushed him to the city animal hospital. At the hospital, after a quick check, the doctor said Bike needed a bath to clean his wounds. Bike stayed calm during the bath, as if he felt a small sense of relief. But, as they began to dry him, Bike looked panicked, he looked terrified, as if remembering past trauma. But they calmed him down gently. They gave him food to distract him during grooming. Slowly, his wounds became visible. The rescuers were shocked at how severe they were. Afraid of hurting him, they sedated Bike. His neck was severely injured, the skin already decaying. They found several deep wounds across his body, including a large one on his leg, several centimeters long, and two smaller ones, likely from bites. The vet were appalled by the extent of his injuries, which had been hidden beneath his thick fur. Realizing how serious it was, the vet quickly prepared him for surgery. If Bike had been saved in time, his neck could have rotted away completely. 3 large wounds marked his neck, infected and oozing with pus. The vet explained the wounds were close to a major artery and needed daily cleaning to prevent deadly infection. Because of the infection's severity, a drainage tube was inserted to help remove the pus and fluid. The surgery went well, but Bike was still very weak, and the 4th would help him recover and ease his pain. Bike lay exhausted, but finally able to rest safely. On the 2nd day, the rescuers visited him again. They hoped for even the smallest improvement. But Bike still looked wary, as if trust was something he'd long forgotten. They brought him special food mixed with eggs, something Bike had loved before. When they placed the bowl in front of him, Bike hesitated, but then he took a few bites. The rescuers felt relieved. There was a glimmer of hope. But after only a few bites, Bike stopped, turning away from the food. His appetite was gone, like his spirit. The rescuers worried. Had Bike lost the will to live? They spoke to the doctor, who gave them heartbreaking news. The infection in Bike's neck was severe, making him weak and stealing his appetite. even worse. The doctor said Bike was dangerously malnourished. He hadn't eaten proper food in a long time. His body was too frail to heal quickly. The doctor treated the wounds on Bike's legs and found a fungal infection in his ears. But the infection in his neck was the worst. The doctor gave him antibiotics and pain medicine through and for. On the third day, the rescuers returned with fresh hope. They brought him meat and nourishing food, hoping the smell would tempt him to eat. Bike sniffed eagerly, drawn to the tempting aroma, and immediately ate it. It worked. It was a small but important victory. The rescuers felt a surge of hope. For the first time, Bike ate without hesitation. After eating, the rescuers called out, and Bike inched closer. With gentle patience, they offered him snacks from their hands, hoping to gain his trust. Bike's fear lingered, but he slowly gave in to the comfort of food and kind voices. It was a tiny flicker of trust, a fragile thing that could vanish at any moment. By the fourth day, Bike started showing small signs of hope. The dog who once hid in fear seemed less afraid when his rescuers came near. He seemed to recognize them, his eyes calmer, his spirit lifting. They offered him goat milk, hoping to nourish his body and soothe his heart. Cautiously, he drank, each sip a step away from the darkness. In the hospital garden, a soft breeze brushed Bike's fur, and the warm sunlight wrapped around him. For the first time, Bike seemed to enjoy it. His tense body, once frozen in fear, finally began to relax. When the rescuers hugged him, Bike didn't pull away. Instead, he leaned into their arms, feeling the love and care. His eyes, once full of fear, softened. A tiny spark of trust, and maybe even gratitude. His courage brought tears to their eyes, a sign that even broken hearts can heal. Day by day, Bike grew stronger. It was time to change his bandage. The doctor carefully examined him. After a moment, the doctor smiled and shared good news: the swelling around Bike's wound had gone down, and he was healing well. Look, the doctor said softly. New skin is starting to grow. It felt like a little miracle, a sign Bike was slowly coming back to life. The doctor told them that soon, the stitches could come out. After that, Bike would be ready to leave the hospital. Hope was growing, just like his new skin. Then came a day of unexpected fear. The doctor called to say Bike's old owner had come to the hospital, demanding him back. With hearts racing, the rescuers rushed to the hospital. By the time they arrived, the owner was gone. The doctor had refused the man's demand, saying only the rescue team had the right to take Bike. The doctor couldn't stand the thought of Bike suffering again. But because of that incident, Bike's anxiety returned. He became frightened again when the doctor touched him to give his ear medication. After a while, they finally managed to tend to his ear. He quickly ran back to his cage, fear overwhelming him again. But they finally managed to calm him down by giving him a snack and playing with him. On the 11th day, the rescuers and vet celebrated a huge step forward. Bike's stitches were removed. It marked a big milestone in his recovery. His wounds were healing beautifully. Though still fragile, Bike's recovery was nothing short of amazing. By the 14th day, Bike was ready to leave the hospital. Before leaving, Bike calmly let the vet check his neck one last time. The stitches had healed perfectly. They just needed to keep the area clean to prevent infection. Before heading to the shelter, the rescuers listened carefully to the vet's advice. They promised to care for Bike with the same love as before. A month later, Bike was almost unrecognizable. He ran and played with other dogs in the park, his energy back, his tail wagging freely. The emptiness in his eyes had turned into joy. He was no longer afraid. Bike now knew he was safe and loved. 3 months later, Bike's transformation was complete. His fur shone, and his spirit was full of life. His story proves that love can heal even the deepest wounds. Thinking of rescuing an animal? Your kindness could give them the fresh start they deserve.